Hi, it's another creator collab. You are going to get many perspectives from different autistic adults on the topic. Which social norms are hardest for me as an autistic adult?
So, what are some social norms that are hard for me as an autistic individual? I can come up with three things. So, for me, the three hardest social norms that are hard for me to keep up with is info dumping, oversharing, and knowing when it's the right time to show a certain emotion. So, with like the oversharing, oh my gosh. I'm still working on when it's the right time to say something or express something or even talk about something. And there have been times in the past where I've talked about something, maybe in public or maybe to someone just randomly, and I end up info dumping or oversharing. And then I swear, a few minutes later, after the situation, there's that part of me that starts, I guess, questioning, should I have really said that? Was that really the best thing for me to have said? And that's the same with the info dumping, because a lot of people don't get a lot of the topics that we autistic people tend to focus so deeply on. They don't look at the nuances, kind of like what we do. And it can be hard for me to read between the lines of that, and showing certain emotions during a time that's probably not appropriate. Now, that one can depend. So, like, if I'm in public, there have been times where I've been in public and 1 minute I'm fine, and then the next I'm just upset and just want to break right there in public. And sometimes it does happen, but um it's not something that I try to think before I end up showing those emotions in public. I try to keep things in perspective, but sometimes it can just be hard. Some things just slip out when you don't want them to, or when you're not intending for them to slip out. They just happen like that. And those are some of the social norms that are very hard for me as an autistic person. Yeah, those are some of the ones that I find challenging.
Hi, friends. It's Lisle here. Meet Bella. She's my living stuffed animal. I'm going to talk to you about the social norms that are really oppressive for me. I have a little script right here. Bella is the opposite of the social norms that are hardest for me. With Bella, there is no pressure to talk about things I don't understand or have no interest in. There are no gender role norms to adhere to, and she does not care what I wear or look like. Bella loves physical closeness as much as I do. I can endlessly cuddle and pet her, and she would not consider these things strange. Bella does not care that I rely on a rigid routine and does not look at me sideways because I am eating the same things I ate yesterday. Likewise, Bella does not expect me to communicate neurotypically. The social expectation of knowing what you feel, need, or mean, being able to express it immediately, is simply not part of our relationship. With Bella, there is nothing to hide, measure, gauge, or monitor to ensure I appear normal or don't make someone else feel uncomfortable. And Bella doesn't care if instead of being productive for an entire morning, I engage in my special interest. She never judges me, shifts unpredictably in mood, or does things that make no sense to me or feel frightening. I never compare myself to her and think I'm supposed to be more like her. She simply enjoys being together just as I do. I am autistic. I do not process the world as others do, nor do I communicate, think, exist, or socialize as others do. The expectations that I should and can, and that I must hide my true self in order to avoid judgment. These are the social norms that I find crushing, and I am just grateful that we have one another to support our true, authentic selves.
Today's question is, which social norm do I struggle with the most? And my answer is that because I'm autistic, I have no idea. And that's part of being autistic. The whole social thing confuses us. We could spend our whole lives trying to figure it out, and we never will. I like rules that are clear and that make sense. And to me, the social norms and rules that are adopted by most people are not very clear, and they don't make much sense. Now, one rule that to me is very clear and makes complete sense is the golden rule. So I try to live by that rule. The problem is that because I'm autistic, the way I would like to be treated may not be the same as the way most other people would. So that creates even more difficulty. Say you're autistic like me and the other person isn't. That's tricky enough. Then when you throw other things into the mix, like how were you raised, where were you raised, when were you raised, what's your ancestry, what kind of a day are you having, that's just way too much for this old boy to process. What I've had to do is just accept that I am different and accept that I'll never understand this whole thing, this whole social thing, and I'll never figure it out. And that's taken a big weight off my shoulders, because now I'm not banging my head against the wall all the time trying to figure it out and being disappointed when I don't, and I'm no longer telling myself that I just need to try harder, because that's not what it is. It's not that I'm not trying hard enough. In fact, all of us autistic people, I think we are doing a great job with what we've been given and what we have to deal with. So just accept that we are different, and that's okay. And I tell you, I sure enjoy talking with you.
Hello everyone. So Jenny's question were, what social norms are hardest for you as an autistic person? Social norms are the unwritten rules of how people are expected to behave across cultures, places, different subgroups. They're like the conventions, the customs. It's to do with manners, your approach to things, and there's various patterns that are social norms. So how does this affect me as an autistic person? Well, for example, at Christmas, I was invited to a drinks party. Although I kind of knew how many people would be there roughly, I didn't feel I could give a definitive answer as to whether I could attend or not. And straight away, that's a no-no. You're supposed to say, yes, I'm coming. I'd be delighted to come. Of course I'll be there. Or you're supposed to say, no, I'm sorry, I've already got an arrangement. I won't be there. I didn't really feel I wanted to do either of those things because I didn't know how regulated I was going to feel on the day. So it's difficult from the outset. I didn't go in the end, but I did go last year. And I remember walking into that room and feeling completely overwhelmed by the possibilities in the room. Little subgroups of people having little conversations. What do I do? Do I gravitate to the person I know the most? The person I'm most attracted to? The person with the nicest top on? The person looks the most interesting? How do I start the conversation? Other people just seem to know what to do. They seem to just get it. They go in. It doesn't matter what they do. They just fit in. There's things like sensory issues as well. There was a buffet. I struggle with that. I struggle with, like, if I haven't prepared it, it's like, who's done this? Is it safe? Is it, it's just really ridiculous, I know, but it's that control thing, isn't it? That's what autism is. It's about the self, and interacting with other people is where it's difficult. And essentially that's what a social norm is. It's about what is accepted among a group of people. So as autistic people, we struggle with that because it's not in our remit, it's not in our control. And that increases anxiety because we're having to suppress autistic behaviours like stimming, things we do to regulate ourselves. We're having to do small talk. The old PDA kicks in. You just don't want to go. But then you're treated as like, oh, she's weird, don't invite her again. And then you feel left out, so you've got the rejection sensitivity. So social norms are very much part of the autistic experience. And to put the tin lid on it, they're dynamic. So they're always changing depending on the situation in the environment. So they're a daily challenge.
Hi everyone, thank you to Jenny for assembling us for another video, another collab video. So the question is, what are the social norms that I find hardest to deal with as an autistic adult? And I've picked 3. I've got some notes. Eye contact. So I looked off screen like I would look off someone's face when I'm speaking with them to think about what I need to say and then return to the conversation. So I find eye contact difficult as an autistic person, and because I find that looking at someone's face in a fixed, not stare, but fixed gaze is it's quite distracting because I need to, I want to say something in a beautifully constructed sentence like the one I've just shared clearly. And so I looked off screen then. And, I want to focus more on my words than the person's face and then return to their face and share my beautifully constructed thoughts. But I found very late in life that's not the done thing, apparently. But, I'm not looking off, I'm not looking away because I'm trying to hide something or I don't want to look at the person. It's more a case of a positive reason. I want to think about the best way of saying what I want to say. So eye contact is number 1. Socializing is the second one. I really struggle with being in noisy environments, small talk, trying to engage in small talk. It just seems so meaningless and particularly difficult to engage in small talk when I'm in a busy environment where there are lots of people, because I find it difficult to separate noises, sounds. And so socializing, in a public place is really, really hard for me as an autistic adult. And yet it's a social norm, that you do go out. But since my autism discovery, diagnosed at 41, I'm 44 now, I've given myself permission not to go out as much. Generally, when I go out, it's to a meeting, because a meeting is objective focused. It's a practical end to the meeting, or there should be. I'm not just going out to have fun. I mean, I have fun making videos like this and, making music and being on my own, making music and, communicating with autistic people online and so on. So socializing is another norm that I really struggle with. And finally, lying. There's an expectation that, well, there seems to be, that you just lie. White lies, black lies, grey lies. I really struggle with lying. Just be honest with each other so we can, anticipate, we can be clear about what each other expects. We know where we stand. We're not guessing. We're not uncertain. We're not anxious. And yet lying just seems to be very natural to a lot of people in this world. And I struggle to adhere to that tendency, not for me as an autistic person. So thank you, Jenny, and thank you everyone for listening to me.
Also feel like being direct with somebody doesn't really work with neurotypical people. I feel like I can't give my honest, direct, raw opinion on something because for fear of somebody being mad at me. It's happened so many times in my life where I just said what was on the tip of my tongue without trying to polish it or change it for somebody, and it did not go across very well. The other one that happens every day in the United States, I don't know about other countries, is when you go to work or you're around people and they say, "Hi, how are you?" "I'm fine, thank you." "How are you?" "Fine." People really don't want to know how you're doing. They don't want you to stand there and tell them that, well, you feel this fever blister is starting to come on and you're thinking about going to get some Carmex when you get off work, and you really need to put that on before it gets worse. And then also, no. They don't want to know all that. Your back hurts. They don't really want to know all that. You're just supposed to smile and say, "I'm fine. Thank you." I'm just curious, if you live in another country, would you tell me, is that how it goes in your country? Do people do that too? Or is it just a very American thing? Another confusing one is when people expect you to pick up on their hints. Like they might say, like they're working on something and you're at work and they say, this is hard. And what they don't realize is, I think they're just telling me that. I don't know they're trying to tell me they want my help. You have to be direct with an autistic person, and you have to say, "Can you come and help me with this? It's kind of difficult. I could really use your help." So if you just tell me that this is hard, I'm not going to catch the vibe that you're wanting some help with that. You got to be direct with me. So those are some of the things, social norms, that I've got so many I could talk about. I could make a whole video on that, and maybe I will. But social norms are confusing, have been confusing to me my entire life, as it is for, I'm sure, many autistic people. Thank you to all of these amazing people that sent in their video clips for this topic, and I hope you got something out of it. Comment down below, who did you relate to, and what social norms would you add? If you could add your own social norms that we didn't talk about, because face it, there are so many of them. Thanks for watching this video, and maybe I'll see you in the next creator collab. Bye.